The letter in the window. On a quiet street in Paris, Claire owned a small bookstore filled with worn-out novels and the scent of old paper. Every morning, she would open the windows and let the sunlight spill across the shelves, waiting for the rare customer who loved stories as much as she did. One rainy afternoon, a young man named Julian entered, shaking water from his coat. His eyes wandered over the shelves until they landed on an old poetry collection. Claire noticed the way he smiled, soft, almost nostalgic. "You like poetry?" she asked. Julian looked up, a little startled, then nodded. "It's the only way words feel alive." From that day, he came often, sometimes to buy a book, sometimes just to sit quietly by the window. Claire began leaving notes between the pages of the books he often browsed. At first, they were simple: "What is your favorite season?" or "Do you believe in fate?" To her surprise, the next day she would find replies scribbled on slips of paper: "Autumn." Because it teaches us to let go beautifully. Weeks passed, and their secret exchange grew into something tender, something unspoken. Yet, outside the safety of words, neither dared to confess. One evening, as Claire closed the shop, she found a small envelope tucked between the poetry books. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside was a letter written in Julian's neat handwriting. "I don't know if courage comes from books or from love, but I know I found both here. If your heart feels the same, meet me tomorrow at the cafe across the street at noon." Claire barely slept that night. The next day, the rain had cleared, and the city seemed brighter. At noon, she crossed the street. Julian was already there, a cup of coffee untouched before him. When their eyes met, all the words they had hidden in notes found life in a single smile. No poetry, no letters, just the beginning of a story they would write together.
The bridge over starlit waters. Evelyn had always been drawn to the quiet rhythm of the river that flowed through her town. Every evening after work, she walked across the old stone bridge, her eyes lingering on the reflections of the setting sun. It was her ritual, a way to untangle her thoughts and breathe in the peace she often couldn't find elsewhere. One evening, as she leaned on the railing, sketching the water in her notebook, she noticed someone standing at the opposite end of the bridge. A man with dark hair, tall, wearing a worn leather jacket. He was staring at the same horizon she was, lost in thought. Their eyes met briefly, just a glance, but Evelyn felt something unusual stir in her chest. The next day, he was there again. This time, he offered her a polite smile. "You come here often?" he asked, his voice warm, carrying a trace of fatigue yet gentleness. "Almost every day," she replied. "It's my way of listening to myself." He chuckled softly. "Same here, I'm Daniel, by the way." And just like that, conversations began. Some days they talked about books, others about the places they dreamed of visiting. Daniel was a photographer, capturing stories with his camera, while Evelyn was an illustrator sketching moments she wanted to remember. Their worlds seemed different, yet both were about preserving beauty that might otherwise slip away. As weeks passed, their meetings became less accidental and more like destiny. She would wait at her side of the bridge, and he at his, until one of them waved. They shared coffee from the small cafe nearby, sometimes sitting in silence, sometimes laughing so loudly that passers-by smiled without knowing why. But beneath their growing closeness, Evelyn noticed something hidden in Daniel's eyes, a shadow, a weight he never spoke of. One evening, when the sky was painted with stars, she finally asked, "What's holding you back, Daniel?" He hesitated, then sighed. "I travel a lot. I'm never in one place for long. My work, it keeps me moving. I don't know if I can give anyone the certainty they deserve." Evelyn's heart tightened, but she smiled softly. Maybe certainty isn't always the point. Sometimes it's about the moments we choose, right here, right now. Her words lingered between them like the river's quiet song. For the first time, Daniel reached for her hand. It was a simple gesture, yet it carried a promise, a fragile one but real. The days turned into months. They walked through autumn leaves, shared winter scarves, and painted spring mornings with laughter. Every season layered their story with colors deeper than either of them had expected. One night, under lanterns glowing along the riverside, Daniel whispered, "I don't want to keep running. Not anymore. Not if it means leaving you behind." Tears welled in Evelyn's eyes, but her smile was steady. "Then stay. Not for forever, not for promises too heavy, but for every sunrise we can share." And so he stayed. The bridge where they first met became more than stone and river. It became a reminder of how two wandering souls had found a home, not in certainty, but in each other's presence.